I never know how to start this. Hello, and welcome back to the Chasing Stars podcast. This is very mildly delayed, um, but it's here nonetheless. It was going to go up like a week earlier, but here we are. Me and Jess took a well-deserved weekend off, didn't we, Jess?
Yes.
We had a wonderful little time off. But here we are, talking about our Formula 3 top 5 from the 2020 season, which we didn't even know we were going to have, at one point. So it's actually really nice to be able to sit down and just chatter about it. Not that I can really remember much because it's been like 3 weeks since we finished, maybe?
Something like that.
Christ. Same flow as we did with Formula E. If you didn't see the Formula E one, then feel free to go and have a look. The link will be in the description, or you can just go onto our channel and you can find it there pretty much. But yeah, I'm Alice.
No, Jess.
And we are chasing the stars. Do you wanna start again? What is my hair?
So I mentioned in Monza, I had watched like Roman Stanek, so he was always bottom of the grid. Well, not bottom, but like 20th sort of area. So then, and I saw him in 10th, and I was like, oh my god, he might get points. And then he lost it because of a penalty, which I still don't know why. But then the following race, he gets his first points.
I remember the day he got his first points. That it's always exciting when especially because he's the youngest driver on that grid as well.
True.
And he was like, I know a lot of the drivers were thrown in last minute, but he really was thrown in last minute, as in they're like, oh, we're gonna be racing, Stanek, you're in, for a whole season, you're in, go. Was he the only driver that had that?
Beckman was put in, but he already had a season before it, so
Yeah, he
that was about it.
right early on. Just Stanek. Stanek is your
Stanek.
number 5 top 5 moment.
Yeah, it's just because he's obviously, and then he moves up from Formula 4. So them cars are a lot different to Formula 3. And then you have a very competitive field, as you know. So taking the first points is not an easy feat, so I'm happy for him.
What car did he was in the Cheroux, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah. Well done for doing that in a Cheroux. Who did the best in the Cheroux this year?
Fraga got 2 points, I think. 1 point. Stanek got 3 points.
Belov got 1. Didn't he?
Yeah, but Stanek got 3.
Yeah, Stanek was the best, wasn't he? Stanek, Belov, Fraga, Schumacher. Yeah, Stanek did the best in the Cheroux.
Love to hear it.
Top 5 moment was just how do I put this into simplistic words? The first 4 races of the season, so just Austria as a full, and the Red Bull Ring. I love the Red Bull Ring. I don't know about you, but I really love the Red Bull Ring. I love Austria. I think it's a great race. And I think it really set the standards for the season that the first 2 weekends in at Austria really showed how different and how what's the word?
Competitive?
Yeah, it's going to be for the rest of the season, and that anything can happen. Literally anything can happen. You had Oscar Piastri, who obviously went on to win the championship, who was a rookie, win his first ever race in Formula 3. And then you had obviously Logan Sargent second, and Frederic Vesti came 4th. And that kind of set the table that obviously Prema were coming for their 10th year, their 10th consecutive year.
Yeah.
Which you already really kind of predicted. I know a lot of people had faith that High Tech were going to do really good, but then that also showed, in that first feature race, that High Tech really isn't all there. Lawson was the highest placing in 6th, Hauger was 15th, and Futrell was 12th. So everyone had a lot of high hopes for High Tech, and it just showed that High Tech really wasn't all there. But then obviously you had then the sprint race, and Logan Sargent was nowhere to be seen in 27th, and you had Liam Lawson winning. So people were well, maybe High Tech is there. What? And obviously Teo Porcher, who was nowhere to be seen, 13th and 26th, and obviously he went on to finish runner-up. And then the second round in Red Bull, you were expecting Prema to be on top in every single race, and like High Tech to probably be rivaling them again, because the first round kind of gave you that kind of insight. But like Piastri came fourth and fifth. Sargent obviously was on the podium in second, but then came sixth, and then Federic Vesti was eighth, and then retired from the race. No, that's a lie. He
First
came
and eighth.
first and then eighth. Christ. Wait. I've read these back to front. I was reading front. So, yeah, Piastri fourth and fifth. Sargent sixth and then second, and then Vesti first and eighth. Yeah, which kind of gave you, like, Prema is still there, but then there was kind of like, well, after Piastri's win, everyone was kind of like, well, Piastri's going to be the best Prema. And then Sargent was like, nope, here I am. And then Vesti was like, oh no, here I am too. Yeah, and then obviously Lawson then retired in like Austria, and it was kind of like, well, maybe High Tech really isn't there. Like, what's wrong with the High Tech cars? And then you had Teo Porcher in the ART out of nowhere go on and win, and it was like, what is happening? Like,
But then you also had that.
What?
Sorry. You also had that rain in the first feature race on second round, which made it even more unpredictable. So
Yeah.
it shows reliability over the teams and how well they can like drive, I guess, in different weather conditions.
Exactly. And you also had like Peroni, who like people were like really skeptical about him coming back, especially after him having to finish the championship early last year due to his crash. Everyone was a bit like, oh, like, is it really best that Peroni comes back? And then he was on a podium in his first race. Clement Novalak, who was also a rookie in the Carlin, also came third, like in his first sprint race. You had Richard Vachor on the podium. You had Liram Zandelli's first podium. You had David Beckman on the podium twice in third. It was just very, very unpredictable, the whole, like, time in Austria. You didn't really know what was coming next.
It sounds a lot like Formula 3 in general, just unpredictability everywhere. And that's what I like about it.
Yeah. They were also not boring races either. Like, I remember being on the edge of my seat the whole time. I was like, I'm so excited that Formula 3 is back and this is good racing. And I just love the fact that you just never know what's going to happen next. Like, ever. Who would have been on top after that? Piastri must have been. First.
He has a higher average.
Points. First and then 3 points. Like, well, not
Yeah.
like 3 points, but like 3. Like, across all 4 races, he scored points.
And on that note, Alexander Sfolia, a rookie. No one really knew what he's going to do. And then he's an ART, which can be unpredictable at times. And then he goes on a podium in Monza. And I'm like, how did that happen?
He deserved that podium well before then. Like, his, do you remember Hungary Race 1, where he got his pole position?
Oh, turn 1.
I didn't mean to make you sad, I'm sorry.
Oh. And then you also had the one with the penalty.
Oh, yeah.
With race 1.
Yeah.
But at least he's taken one as a rookie. Also joined with his teammate on podium as well, which is also quite nice.
It was... Small years experience in F3 has definitely been an interesting one for him.
But at least it showed ART had improved over the season. So
Oh, yeah.
they managed to pull a fight from maybe like 4th or 5th to like 2nd. And they will be battling with Trident for like weekends on weekends. But unfortunately missed out at the end of the year. But at least they improved.
Talking of... Did you say Monza? Question mark? You did say Monza. Talking of Monza, my number 4 is Monza in a general. As a general. Overall Monza. God, Monza. Obviously, Alexander Smoya was on the podium for his first ever time. We saw Teo Porcher on the podium twice. But, like, Monza was meant to be the weekend that kind of made it a little bit easier to figure out who was going to win the championship. And we left Monza with 6 potential people being able to win. 6. Like, normally you have, like, at least, like, 3, but 6. Like...
And a lot of them had a chance within the second race of the following round anyway.
Like
So
Exactly. Yeah, because it then down to 3, weren't it? At the end it was down to 3. After Monza it went
yeah,
down to. No, after the first weekend in Mugello it was down to 3. God, I can't speak today. But like, so Logan Sargent and Oscar Piastri were kind of the two main ones that people were like, right, it's going to be one of them two to win. Teo Porcher, people just really overlooked and was like, nah, he's probably not going to make it. Rookie in an ART, not going to happen. Obviously, Vesti was trying to prove his worth as well, because, he hadn't had a win since Austria, so, like, he was trying to prove that, he still is in contention for it. You obviously had Lawson, who his car has just been god-awful all year.
up and down.
Beckman, who was doing some insanities in that Trident, and it was just a mess. Like, the whole weekend was so chaotic. Obviously, Logan Sargent did not finish the race in the points once in Monza at all. 26th
Yeah.
and 24th. One of them technically, he DNF'd didn't he, really?
Yeah, more or less.
But obviously, while he was then not finishing races and points, he had Oscar Piastri on the podium in 3rd, and like Teo Porcher in 2nd, and obviously oh my god, Frederick Vesti winning. Sargent was obviously then going to be a bit like, I've got a bit of trouble on my hands. And then you were like, oh yes, because now this second race in Monza is really going to like separate the grid. You're going to know that it's going to be one of them on top. And obviously it had just been announced that Prema had won the team's championship. And then none of the Premas actually finished the race. Obviously Piastri retired. Sargent and Vesti came 24th and 23rd. Obviously Piastri, I can't remember why Piastri retired. I know Sargent...
There was turn 1 collision.
Yeah. So Clem Piastri... Oh no, it was Clem Piastri and Schumacher in the crash. That was the big crash. Clem Piastri, Belov and Schumacher was the Monza crash that retired Piastri.
Oh. Right, yeah. Piastri, Belov, Novalak, Schumacher.
Yeah. So what happened to Sargent and Vesti? I know there was a lot of collisions.
They collided together in like...
Oh yeah, because I remember.
Because they were fighting each other.
Vesti was so like adamant that he wanted to win. No, it was Sargent. Sargent was so adamant that he had to win. He had to win that race so that he could because obviously Piastri gone out the race by this point. Sargent just had to get them extra points to get ahead. He didn't need to come first. He could have easily finished second and been fine. And then obviously him and Vesti racing, Beal out. Neither of them with any points. Prema with nothing. It was just
disaster weekend.
Monza was just a weekend, and I just loved it.
I think it would be the fact that it has 30 cars. It's just the chaos. It's going to be there.
Oh, Jake Hughes won his first race? No, second race. Jake Hughes won his second race as well of the season. Oh, yeah, it was, and then Smollier, because it was Jake, Teo and Smollier. Who else was on that podium? Oh, Lawson was on the podium, and then obviously Lawson got a penalty, and put Smollier on the podium. Oh,
yeah.
Ben Pascal got disqualified. Michael Belov got his first ever point and started on reverse pole.
I think 4 or 5 drivers got penalties by the end of the race anyway.
Yeah. Oh, Enzo Fittipaldi started second on the grid of the sprint race. He was doing so well, bless him. I don't want to remember that moment. I don't want to remember it. Just everything about Monza was just fantastic. Monza.
Just Monza.
Monza.
On that note of Italy, we moved to Mugello. Because then you had the season finale with the 3 drivers.
I feel like we should discuss this together, because my number 3 was also the unpredictable Mugello finale. So I feel like we can have a one-to-one discussion about this.
I just think the fact that Logan Sargent didn't last a single lap was the turning point.
I remember.
And you knew it was going to be very interesting.
I remember. I was like, it's going to be a boring race. It's just going to be boring. I just laid down and I was like, well, it's not going to be Teo that wins, and Piastri's not going to be anywhere near that because he's down in 11th. Sargent's got the best bet of winning, so it's obviously going to be Sargent that wins. So I just laid on my sofa and was like, whatever. And then I just watched Sargent crash out, and I elevated from that sofa and was like, what?
I really wanted to yell, but I realized it was like 8, 9 in the morning, and I was like, hey, maybe we shouldn't, you know?
Oh, it was so close as well. 164, 161, and 160. My saddest moment, like, Piastri crossing the line just to get ahead.
Oh,
Who was it on?
Fernandez.
Yeah, Fernandez. That was probably one of my favourite overtakes of the entire Formula 3 season, was that overtake. For him to take... He didn't even need them points. He didn't need them extra points. He'd already won by a point.
Yeah.
But he wanted to pip it further. And, like, it really makes me sad that all Teo needed was, like...
Another
seconds.
place.
All
Yeah.
the second, and he would have won that. Could you imagine?
Oh.
Oh my god.
Imagine me in February thinking Teo Porsche is going to win the championship. What a
Oh
cry.
God. Mugello is just... It was a good finale. I'm so glad that we had Mugello as, like, the finale of Formula 3.
I think it's like barely any like series goes to Mugello. So it was quite interesting to go to Mugello as for the first time in like ages. Both in Formula 2 and Formula 3 as well, which is exciting.
I hope they bring it back, like, next season. I think that'd be really fun to go back to Mugello. I really liked the racing there. I really liked the track, everything about it. And I think especially with, like, I know people would be like, well, 2 Italian Grand Prix. Blah, blah, blah. Well, get a grip. Like, I would much rather see 2 Italian Grand Prix than another Sochi.
I thought it was going to be kind of boring because of it's a lot of straight lines. But then you had the DRS, and that made a lot of difference. And then you had the gravel traps. So a lot of drivers lost out if they went off track. So it balanced out. I liked
And a nice swift balance. It was... Oh, I just loved it. I loved it. I want Mugello back. It was so good. Sorry, Jess. What was your number 2? Question mark.
What
is one of my...
How do I say I had like a big support for rookies? By big, I really mean big. So when we saw Matteo Nannini finish in 10th, we knew it was going to be mega. He may have not won, but he finished 3rd. And that was, what, his 2nd points finish of the season?
Mm-hmm. His only other point finish of the season.
Yeah. So that weekend for him was amazing. Finished on the podium. What more?
I just think the rookies this year have excelled. Like, every single one of them. Obviously, the championship was won by a rookie. The runner-up was also a rookie.
That's a fair point.
How many rookie winners did we have?
Wait, is Liam Lawson a rookie?
1,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, no.
6,
Liam Lawson is not a rookie.
7, 8. Is Sandelli a rookie?
9.
9.
No, he's not. He's not a rookie. That was
8.
German. Sorry.
1, 2. No, wait, you got Oscar Piastri, Freddie Basti, double Teo wins.
What do you mean? Double Teo wins, yep.
Oscar Piastri again.
Frederick Vesti got 3 wins as a rookie.
Oh. And then you had
Jake Hughes.
Jake Hughes was not a rookie.
I'm so glad he's finally in an F2 seat. That's for another day, but I'm so happy. I'm just happy to see him there. Oh, Christ. But even then, like, rookies on podiums as, like, a whole. Like, rookies as a whole this year. Like, no offense to some of the oldies, but they out-dominated some of the oldies. Not saying names, but you know who.
Oh. But like in the top 5 of the championship, there's 3 rookies and 2 people who just come back for the second year.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Was David Beckman a rookie? No. To be fair, my number 2 kind of goes into like rookies a bit as well. Like, I feel like a lot of our top 3 is just to do, top 5 is just to do with like rookies, but they have like excelled. Like, without rookies, this F3 season would have been
not there.
My number 2 was Teo becoming the youngest Formula 3 race winner, like, ever. At the age of 16. He was the youngest ever driver to win a Formula 3 race. And that is insane. Like, that's just some sort of insanity, that.
I don't think everyone came into, like, the season. I don't think anyone expected him to win. Maybe, like, come on the podium or, like, in the points quite a lot, but a win, I don't think it was
like,
in the cards.
I just remember in February when me and Jess first started doing the drivers like profile. So me and Jess started like CTS on February 14th. And we started going through the drivers profiles and stuff, and we were like selecting who we're gonna do and that, and like we do our favorite drivers and that like each, and then we just go through the list and we'd sit on call to each other on that. And Jess was like, we were going through F3, we were on to ART. And Jess was like, oh, I'm going to do Teo Porcher. His name sounds fun. I wonder how that's pronounced. And I was like, oh, yeah, Alex Small, yeah, seems like a fun guy. I'll do him. So, like, obviously we're doing our, like, you know, research and that. And we were Googling how to say Teo Porcher, which is how we know it's Teo Porcher and not Teo
Porcher.
Theo Porcher. No, Teo Porcher. And I just remember, like, just literally just being like, he's really good. Like,
she's really good.
we should like keep a good eye out on him. And like then that moment on, Jess was like, Teo Porcher going to be best Formula 3 driver on that grid. Teo Porcher is everything. Teo Porcher is going to be world champion one day. And everyone knew by this point that like Teo Porcher was going to be Jess's bet for the year. Brilliant bet there. My bet out the window. Gone out the window. He left. But oh, I don't like making predictions. I'm never making a yearly prediction again. Tune in next year. One of our friends was like, oh, I've put Teo Porcher down just for Jess. And I was like, you really think a rookie in an ART is going to win the championship? And then the rookie in the ART was one of the 3 that could have won. Oh, it's just been one mental journey. And, like, honestly, that man is some sort of insanity. Like,
I think it's like his fetus or his career is literally 3 firsts and a second. You're 16. No, you're 17. How do you do that?
Freshly turned 17 by about a month. That's just
Don't get it.
another story. Yeah, just terrible.
On that note, my number 1 moment is Teo Porcher. Only fitting.
Teo Porcher, best driver on the grid 2020.
Definitely a highlight for me.
Like, don't get me wrong, the Prema boy is incredible, but that Prema is also miles above any other car on that grid. And
Fair point.
Teo Porcher dragged that ART. Understandably, the ART was much better this year than last year, but this was the Prema's 10th year winning. It was ultimate that Prema was still going to be insane. And like, don't get me wrong, I think Piastri, Sargent, Vesti, incredible drivers. Like, they're gonna do bits in the future. Like, probably you probably see all of them move up to Formula 2 next year. But personally, for me, Porsche was like probably best driver on that grid in 2020.
Definitely.
Will I take away from? I don't take away from Teo Porsche at all in the slightest, because my number one is Zendelli's win and the whole Spa feature race podium, which just happens to have Teo Porsche in second place.
Lovely.
Teo Porsche. Like, for me personally, before we went into the race, so before we went into the season, my top drivers. I'm going to embarrass myself. My predictions did not go to plan in the slightest. So my top drivers resolved with a lot of high-tech drivers, because I do like, I liked every single driver that was in high-tech this year, and I'm so sad that that high-tech car had to be that shocking. But like, when I went in, I was like, right, Max Futrell, Dennis Hauger, Liam Lawson, the high-tech boys, and then the Trident boys of Liam Zendelli and David Beckman, and then Clement Novalak as well. And they were just the 6 drivers that I was like, right, I'm looking forward to seeing this year. And obviously Teo Porsche and Alex Moyer as well. But like, they were my 6 drivers that I was like, I want you guys to do well, and I want to see you guys do well, and I just love watching you guys race, and I think you're great, right? And obviously some went worse than others. But to finally see Liam Zendelli win that race after being so close time and time and time again was just icing on the cake. To also have David Beckman on that podium and Teo Porsche was also an icing on the cake. The Spa feature race was just one of my favourite races anyway. I loved it. It was a very emotional weekend. And I did speak more on this race in our race review that we did over on CTS, like on the blog, because it was my favourite race, and I did discuss that Zendelli and Trident were my favourite drivers of the year, so like there is a lot more detail over there. But just finally seeing him standing in first, winning that race, especially with Beckman and Porsche up there, was just the icing on the cake to finish off my season. I was done. I was like, season could be finished now. Fine, let's go. We can roll. And just, don't know. It was so good to just see one of my drivers do well. Like, Beckman's been doing great anyway. And obviously Lawson was doing the best he could with the car that he had. He did great, seeing as the car he was in, he did amazing. My other bets, not so great. Obviously we did get to see Clem on the podium, which was great. But yeah, it was so nice to just see Liam on the podium, and over the course of the season, Zendelli has grown to be my favourite driver on that Formula 3 grid, hands down. I just love watching him race. I think he's a really good driver. I think he doesn't get the credit he deserves either.
It's definitely a better redemption of Silverstone as well.
Oh yeah.
Like, losing that at the end was very sad.
Yeah, because he kind of had he had a couple points, and then he got his first podium, and he got another points, and then it went downhill, and he retired, and then he was getting 16th, 13th, 11th, and he finally got back in the points, finally back on the podium for second, and then it went downhill again.
And I'm back.
And then back up for his race win, and then he had a steady points finish, and I'm really sad that he retired from the last race. But sometimes these things happen. I really hope that we get to see him next year racing, whether that's in Formula 3, Formula 2, I don't care. I want to see him racing next year. I will file a formal complaint if not. I will start writing my email as we speak.
I will walk into one of the teams and I will get Zendelli on there.
Please sign to say that you agree. Could you imagine they're like, no?
Who are you?
It's me, bitch. It's Brittany. Yeah. So yeah, if you're watching, you just lost the game. We've lost life. We have to now fill 2 months without any racing. So yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Hopefully. Depends if me and Jess actually sit down and film. Me and Jess
Don't out
have
us.
really complicated and problematic schedules that we collide with each other quite frequently. Yeah, so yeah, mine and Jess's schedules are just really like mismatched, where like from when I work and when she's doing her educational stuff, and then when I'm coming home from work, and they just don't line up. Okay, so like if we're a bit behind, just bear with us. We're people, right? Blink twice if you need help. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, please feel free to subscribe. Give it a like. Let us know that you're enjoying. If you want to read up anything to do with our blog or anything to do with the season, the Formula 3 season, literally anything you need to know about the Formula 3 season, about the drivers, about the teams, about any of the races, if you want to hear about how people found the races or what people thought was going to happen in the races, then honestly, head over to our website. You'll find literally anything you need to know about the 2020 Formula 3 Championship. Anything you need to know, it's on there. Like, I don't think there's a single thing we've forgotten on there, right?
You've got guides, things to do with driver academies.
Yeah, like if you're like, why does
Everything.
Piastri have Renault on his car? Well, if you go over to our website, it'll tell you exactly why. So, anything you need to know, it's probably on there. If there isn't, please file a formal complaint to our email and we will address it immediately. Maybe in a few working days. We're tired.
Or weeks, depends.
Anyway, bye guys, thank you so much, and we'll see you again hopefully next Sunday. If not, check out our website tomorrow at 5 p.m. BST. Are we in BST still? Or in GMT?
End of October.
Ah,
Then it's GMT.
5 p.m. BST tomorrow with a wonderful new post from myself and Jessica, and we will see you guys next time. Adios, auf Wiedersehen, au revoir, goodbye, ciao. Can't remember any others. I need Kristen right now to list off. Anyway, peace out, home slice.
Goodbye.
I think that was the most professional way I could have said goodbye.